We are live. So let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. Are we good to go? Let me know. A lot of people waiting, and looks like the chat was already off to a good start before we could start the show. Probably like, when does this show even start? But the topic today, Glenn, help me. Ross finds are dead. What should I do? Um, Man, this is gonna be a really good topic, a really good show, and I have 5 things that you should be doing or can do to help out your business to keep going right now if it is a little dry in your area. So, Soulfed, what's up? Actually, let me go back. Tommy, what's up? I think you're the first one here. District Deals. Do not listen to District Deals because his area is not bone dry. Complete opposite, and he's just killing it all around. And we're gonna actually do something pretty cool, which is go through some of the map because there's a really good comment on here. I think it was something about Syracuse. I resell. If anyone looks up a retail store in Syracuse, New York, you will all feel bad for me. So we're gonna go to Syracuse on the map, and I have Ross, Burlington, Marshalls, all of that labeled, so we can double check and see what's going on in certain areas. But of course, one of the tips, as you probably already know, will be something about traveling. But not everybody can do that, so that's why we have other tips. Girl on Fire, what's up? Green Granite Resell, MC Thrift, Cisco, what's up? David, Variety Channel, Zombies, Jim, Bartech, District Deals. We already gave him a nice little shout out. Patty, Moonlight Mula's here, SJR. So we have pretty good people all around. Let's see, a new seller from New Jersey. So there we go. Fog City Flips, what's up? More people coming in for a Saturday. So hopefully everyone's having a good Saturday. Yeah, we had somewhat dry, at least in my area, and most of the emails that I'm getting, at least in the last it's been like a last week and a half, have all been, what do I do? It's dry. So that's why we're just gonna talk about it today. And keep in mind that there's going to be other times throughout the year. I think we've been pretty fortunate with Ross, Burlington, those type of finds throughout the whole year. We haven't really had a lot of dry spells. Maybe this is like the closest one to it. And even then, when you really think about it, it hasn't really been that long. Now, the next one, I can tell you there will be another dry season, and that's going to be immediately after Christmas. Ross needs time to rebuild. Same thing with Burlington, Marshalls, a lot of those stores. But I think Ross gets hit the most during Christmas time, and when it ends, probably from New Year. Yeah, probably like New Year's Day to about early February is going to be pretty slow. Mid-February, you'll start seeing some better stuff. By late February, early March, we should be set and good to go. They should be fine with their inventory, but that's probably the worst time throughout the year, and we're going to see that in the next, we got 4 months away when Christmas ends, so we'll get there. So right now, I'm really going to go through the emails and at least answer this question on what you should do if Ross finds are dead. So let's we got 5 tips, and before we start, same thing. Yeah, Ecom Chicago, if you're in Chicago, let me know. I'm gonna do some type of contest. I'm giving away a free ticket. Also San Diego, November 17th, me, Ken, the Hustle Bee, we're doing a workshop. We'll be there, and we'll let everybody know when tickets are on sale. And it's gonna be a full workshop. We'll get an extra hour. Instead of the other ones are a little bit shorter, but this one should be way better. So we'll be in California, November 17th. All right. First comment, Tommy says, my manager told me Ross is dry because they are filling new stores. They opened new stores in July and November, so trucks have been cut 3 days a week since July. Could happen. Burlington is great right now for personal pickups. That's from Paper Drew. And Julie from Chicago. Okay, cool. Let me know. Email me, hustlerhacks1 at gmail.com. I'm going to email everybody, run some type of contest, And if you want to make it to Ecom Chicago, let me know. And if you are interested, I still have a coupon so you can get a better deal on the tickets. All right. Robert, what's up? Good to see you too. All right. So number one, which I'm pretty sure you already knew this one, is focus on your current inventory. Now, we want to sell a lot of the old items and improve on a lot of the older items if they haven't been moving. So if it's dry out there, it shouldn't matter, because if you have inventory stocked up that maybe hasn't really moved in the last 2 to 3 months, and we all have items that maybe just haven't moved. Now it's time to explore those older items. They haven't moved. What do you want to do with them? Do you want to sell similar and try to help that listing out to get better photos, better description, better pricing? Maybe you want to make a little bit less on that item because you want to have some more capital ready for Q4. Maybe you just want to get rid of a lot of the older inventory, because when you have good sales, you don't have that many problems when you really think about it. Would you rather be dry on sourcing or dry on sales? And if it's a little bit of both, then we're gonna have to fix some things. But I'd rather be selling consistently and still having money coming in, because I know I'm gonna be able to reinvest in other things down the road, than to be struggling, just on the sourcing part. So let me see, Mr. Root, what's up? Finished a 15-store trip, walk away with one hoodie, one Nebraska player tee. That's from Root. So there we go. It's kind of tough there. And going back to the older items, keep this in mind. I don't know if Joe is out there, but I ran into Joe, just met him at Marshall's this weekend. He was telling me how it is a little bit dry, but he is selling not only shoes, but other clothing items. And also told him, look, keep this in mind. Right now, if it is a little bit slower, it's also good to explore maybe other platforms you haven't really been selling on. Do you really want to try maybe OfferUp or Mercari or Poshmark or something? You probably could, and see if you can sell some of the older inventory that hasn't really been moving, so you can keep the money generating, have some capital to reinvest down the road. That's what I would say for number one. But also keep this in mind, just because it is a little slow right now doesn't mean that you should just not source, period. You should still be sourcing nonstop, because you never know. Like, you're going to hit one of those days where maybe you're on fire. Next couple of days, there's nothing really out there. But if you don't try, you're never going to really know what's out there. If you have the same mindset and assumptions that nothing is there because everybody's going through a dry spell right now, which is not the case. Because keep in mind, it might be a little dry in your area, but it's not dry in all areas. And District Deals is a perfect example, because being in DC, he has probably 4 times the amount of stores as someone like iResale that was here in Syracuse, has like 4 times the amount of stores. When you think about it, it's a lot more sourcing that can be done in his area. So let me see. Let me go to the chat. Let me see. If you have questions, let me know. Throw them in there. Questions, comments, so we can answer those in between the tips. So number 2, keep this in mind. You don't have to. Let's say shoes is like your main category, your main niche that you're selling. That's what you're interested in, and that's what you want to continue selling. Then think about local Facebook groups, OfferUp, pawn shops, even Mercari once in a while if you want to do some sourcing. I remember, I think I bought like a 25 pair lot from, I think the kid is maybe like 19 or something. I know he was working at the mall or something like that, and I contacted him because I saw it on one of the Facebook groups, and I was like, hey, would you take an offer for the whole lot, all the shoes? And I think it came out to like $1,000 or something like that. I don't know. It was like $1,000, 25, 28 pairs, something like that. And I bought them all, picked them up. And to him, it was like he can get rid of a lot of shoes he doesn't really want anymore. He wanted to, I think he was getting into like Supreme and a lot of the hyped up stuff. So he really didn't care for a lot of the shoes he already had. And my end, I'm like, all right, cool. I'll spend $1,000, but I'm hoping this will turn into, 2,500 or whatever. So there's a lot of people selling shoes they no longer want, and they can let them go for super cheap, and especially if you're offering the right things. So let me see. So Will, who's not here, he's actually in I think, where'd he go? Seattle. He's in Seattle, but he does really, really good on OfferUp alone, especially during the times where Ross is a little dry. So OfferUp, there's plenty of people selling different like Kobe's, and he's sent me some screenshots from people, 35 bucks for Kobe 11s or Kobe 9s, things like that you can flip for 100, 120, 140 on eBay, some like slightly used, things like that. So sourcing through other platforms might be something that you want to do. Facebook groups, I've seen them too. But when we're keeping it, when we're talking about shoes, you also have to know what you're buying and what you're into, because of course doing this, fakes are going to come out. You can't trust anything anymore, especially when someone's selling from pawn shops, Plato's Closet, on local, platforms, websites, things like that. Fakes will be there. But if you know your stuff, you can be safe on that and buy some good shoes to reinvest. I think one of the things, so pawn shops, I mean, depending where you live. So when I visit my brother in Austin, they have like quite a bit of pawn shops that they have like so many retros, things like that. Since, people are always looking, they need money for whatever reason, letting go of different shoes. And some of them are really, really good deals, 45 bucks for slightly used retros. And you can even fix them up, things like that, to sell even higher if that's what you like to do. Plato's Closet, and unfortunately in my area, we had two. One of them closed, and now we're left with one left, and this one is like decent at best. So those are extra stores and extra ways to get some shoes if you want to stay in that certain niche and that's what you like to sell. Let me see. They're pawn the shoes off their feet, SJRist. Let me see what else. We don't have Ross. We do have 3 Burlingtons, 4 Marshalls, 3 TJ Maxx, and it's still dry as hell. That's from Mike. Where do you live, Mike? Let me know. Let me see. Mike Miller sales on fire today. I know. Fortunately, yes. Of course, everything, rest in peace to him. Everything else has been going on. I know people have been, a lot of the just retro t-shirts and hats and stuff like that from that time and selling that. Ross around Dallas hasn't been bad. Dallas, once we see this map, Dallas is out of control. Let me see. To negotiate at the pawn shops, for sure. Always negotiate. And it's always better when you can combine. If you see 3 retros, 4 or 5 retros, even you want to combine, Kobe's and Jordan's or LeBron's, things that are going to sell well, try to pick up as many pairs as possible so you can negotiate on the price. How much for the lot if I take this? And don't be afraid to also point out different things that are wrong with the items. Like sometimes you have to kind of reinforce it and like, hey, well, it is ungluing a little bit here. Maybe it's these areas are a little scratched up, a little dirty. Hey, I got to replace the laces. I got to replace this. It's like small details that, of course, you're going to use in your arsenal to get the best deal possible. So, yeah, totally negotiating on the pawn shops and all of that. So let me see. I resell from Syracuse. There we go. Brian Oak Picker, what's up? Tried today, but $150 Coach men's boots. We have a Puma outlet somewhat close by. Haven't checked it out yet. Wasn't sure if it was worth it. So we're going to get into that, though, with adding different stores. And I can talk about the Puma one, too. What are your thoughts on sneakers from DD's Discounts? Always double check. DD's Discounts is still part of the Ross family. It's not going to be as good as Ross. There's a lot of like lower end brands, but if it's there, always double check. We've seen Ultra Boost. We've seen those Paul George, things like that. So always do that. Let me close this Facebook because it's ringing off. All right. Let me see. All right, from Seattle, when does first Q4, when does that start really? Technically we're in it now. It's kind of like September. August, you can kind of prepare a little bit more, but September through December, we're pretty much there, and sales have gone up, at least for most people. Keep adding inventory and doing all that. Let me see, kickoff month, time of the month. It's kind of just like September through. Let's go to the next one. All right, so number 3, let's say shoes aren't everything that you sell and you want to try some other categories. Try to branch out into another high ASP category. So what I like about shoes though is, our average selling price is technically maybe could be 85, 89, 90, 100 plus, some are at 120 plus. But more than likely you're around that range if you're selling a lot of high end shoes. But there's other, high ASP that you can go to. What about some of the purses? Ross, Burlington, probably a little bit tougher for that, but Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, you never know until you do the research and really kind of see what kind of clearance items are there as well. So purses, watches, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, probably have better watches than Ross, but same thing. If you don't explore their glass case, you're not going to know what's really there. But those are also some high end, high ASP items you could be researching right now. Backpacks, bags, luggage. Maybe you want to get into some of the women's shoes, not necessarily sticking to like men's athletic. Those are also things you can research. So that's if you want to branch out into another category. You don't have to if you're liking your niche, but of course, if it is slow, you want to test that out. You want to see what else is out there. Those are kind of the items I would probably shoot for if you like the high-end retail ARB game that we're in when it comes to eBay. So my electronics right now on eBay is hot. That's what I resell, which we're going to get into some of that, thrifting, things like that. Noel, good to see you. Hey. Mike Rochester. So we're going to actually talk about that when we're doing the map. Let me see. In out hustle videos, you haven't seen you guys go to Reebok, Under Armour, Adidas outlets. Why is that? We did go to the Adidas outlet. The last one, if you watched the Atlanta one, we did go to the Adidas outlet. Under Armour, I do have one in my area. I've only gone a couple of times, but really, when you're thinking about like The Rock, Under Armour, Canelo, Under Armour, with the fight coming up, there's only certain really things. Some of the golf ones we've also seen sell well. There's not a lot when you're comparing them, like Under Armour to Adidas and Nike. So that's also a little bit tougher. And Reebok, honestly, Reebok's actually pretty good for Amazon FBA. When I was doing a lot more FBA days, I would send in a lot of like the CrossFit type of shoes from Reebok. Those would sell pretty well. But eBay game, it's different from the FBA game. And for the most part, I think Reebok does have like a buy one, get one half off, almost not every day, but every like week and a half, week or so. They have pretty good deals, but it's just different from the FBA and eBay game. Let me see, I've been finding Dallas Cowboys thermal sweatpants at Ross 99, selling at hotcakes for $49.99. Football season already started. That was on Thursday. Same thing. I mean, salute to service jerseys. Looks like they might be somewhat dying down. But NFL gear has been out there too. I did see some other like leggings, women's leggings of like Eagles and Nike, just different things like that out there for NFL that will sell. Let's see, men's Coach Leather wallet picked up $25. That's from Adam. Mr. Roots says use the video games have been go-to lately. So there we go, kind of branching out a little bit if you're not just sticking to the shoes, things like that. All right, let's go to number 4. And we're adding new stores. So if you're kind of stuck and it is a little dry, you've been sticking to, Ross, Burlington, Marshalls, things like that. Why not add new stores to that maybe you haven't seen before, maybe you haven't stepped into before? Someone had mentioned, what is that? Didi's Discount. So if you haven't gone before, why not experience that and see if that's something worth going into? Didi's Discounts, Nordstrom Rack, which is another one that we cover once in a while. They do have like a clear the rack sale throughout the year. That also helps. TJ Maxx, we cover once in a while as well, but not as much probably compared to like Marshalls and all those. Gabe's, which is another one that only available in certain areas. I don't have a Gabe's. It's very, very similar to not really. I mean, it's kind of like a hybrid of like Ross Marshalls a little bit. They have other random things that they sell, but Gabe's is another store where people have also been able to find shoes. Another one I'd probably say is well, Nike Outlet though is the thing is that we knew that the MVP pass, things like that, was coming. So even right now that Ross and those stores are dry, we knew that the MVP pass was here right now. And they actually proved me and B wrong when we thought that they were not going to have a sale this weekend. And sure enough, they did. At 20% off back wall. Will they have it next week? Who knows? I was just really surprised because last time MVP pass, there was no sale until like the second week in. But this week they did it. This weekend, it's still going on right now. 20% off plus your $50 off or $25 off MVP pass. So you have other options that are there that also you're able to plan for and have that. Like if other stores just aren't working, we knew this sale was there. Could it be of Kaepernick? Maybe. Could be for the sales. I don't know. Could be. Another thing you could do is if you originally started talking about Root and things like that from the thrifting game and things like that, thrifting and garage sales and some of the other stores we mentioned earlier, pawn shops and Plato's Closet, things like that. You can add those again and try to go back if that's something that you want to add in to your eBay store to sell items from there. But they're not retail ARB. And of course, some of the items, depending what it is, might bring your ASP down if you're really used to the high ASP from, retail ARB and things like that. So you can add those in. And let me see, number 5, last one, is traveling out of your area and exploring a different city or state. Now, we know not everybody can do this. What's up, Moose? We know not everybody can do this, but if you can, that's going to be your best option, especially right now, because like we said, just because your area is dry doesn't mean everywhere is dry. So when we talk about traveling, you think about what's the furthest you really want to go and drive to. So for me, I'm 6 hours away from Phoenix, 4 hours, Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is some stores, but not a lot compared to compared to Phoenix. If I wanted to go to Dallas or Houston, I'm still like 12, 13, 14 hours away. That's a long drive. But if you're doing this full time, you really don't have anything to kind of fall back on. It's like you can make the trips. And even if you want to fly out and do things like that, that's also a business expense for you to go and find more items to add on. That's totally up to you. And the funny thing about exploring out of your area is that we get it all the time, right? From people on IG or maybe even in this chat or anywhere else, leaving comments, things like that is, like my area's never dry, or I'm the best at sourcing and reselling and I'm doing this and that. And the truth is, it's hard to say if someone is like a complete badass at sourcing and reselling, because how many stores do you have in your area? And like what iReseller said, if you live in Syracuse, which we're going to look at the map right now, it is going to be tougher than if you live somewhere else where there's, over 60 to 80 stores. Your opportunity is different from yours, but you can make the drive and or travel out, which is what you might have to do to get more inventory coming in and to explore some different cities to do that. So even in my area, being in El Paso, I'll have 1 Nike outlet. I have 3 dd's DISCOUNTS. I have 2 TJ Maxx. I have 3 Marshalls, and I have, I think, 8 or 9 Ross. No, yeah, I think 8 or 9 Ross. So that's what I have combined. Now Phoenix is different. There's you can drive to Tucson. You can drive. I think there's at least like 3 other outlets in that city. So it's a little bit different. So I really wanted to go out there I just have to put in the work and drive, even if it is for a weekend or a couple of days, things like that. Let me see, like Philly, there we go. Girl on Fire, appreciate that. Nordstrom Rack is pretty fire sometimes, and they what? And the next so high priced. I'm moving back to Phoenix in 4 months. That's from iResell. So iResell, let's go to the map, and I'm taking requests. If you want to see certain areas on the map, we can look at that. And so this is probably going to be one of the funnest parts of this thing, because we can see these highly traffic areas that we can see on the map. Seattle's fire every day. Just got lucky where I live. Decided to become a resale. Even thrift stores have fire. So bigger cities for sure. What I've noticed on bigger cities is that you're probably going to have more competition, though. You have more stores, you have more ground to cover, but there's also more people doing it. So you never know. So you go hit or miss. All right, let's do screen share. And let's go to the map. Let me know if you can see this. Let me know in let me know in the chat. So we're going to Syracuse because iResell is from there. So this is where we are, and it looks like if we look at the map, Marshalls, we have 1, 2, 3. We have like a little triangle right here. And we have one out here in Auburn that you would have to drive to. That's pretty far. Let's go to Burlington. We looks like we have 2 here. Let's see, TJ Maxx. We have 1, we have 2, and we have 3 up here by Belgium. And then Nike Factory Store, we are nowhere near any of the factory stores in this area. Let me zoom out a little bit. It looks like your Nike Factory Store is one right here, which, where is this? This is, man, this is really out there. If you wanted to make that drive, maybe, but that's one you have there. Let me see, what else did we not look at? Oh, Ross, which there are none. No Ross in the Syracuse area. So yeah, this, I would agree with you. This is pretty tough. Keep in mind that Marshalls right now is pretty good off and on. Just depends on your area on high-end cleats. Obviously, District Deals, Cali Finds, different people on IG, they have found some pretty high-end cleats. We didn't find them in Atlanta when me and Hustlebee went, but who knows? Every Marshall's different. All right, let's go out. So Utica's right here. This is, and even here we're looking at 1 Marshall's, was that a Burlington? 1 Burlington and 1 TJ Maxx. Adam Christie, no Ross, shoot me now. Waterloo, there you go. We can check that out. Closest to Ross, there you go. Erie. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's see. Let's see. Ouch, Syracuse. Some District Deals. Let me see. Philly. Yeah, we can do Philly and check that as well. Let me go and zoom out. Also, don't want to go too fast because people get dizzy because the screen share thing gets a little wild. So let me go down. All right. So I don't know where we want to look at. We can look at Dallas. I know who said Dallas. Do you guys feel my pain? That's from iResell. Let's see, reseller hard, upstate New York. Yeah, that's pretty tough. Even if you go down here, man, I mean, we also know the commute though. If you're in this area, commute, even though will still be tough. But let's zoom in over here in this New York area. Manhattan and everything. I mean, even then, I mean, this you can walk to. But once you start going to Queens Plus, they're kind of mixed. And even then, your commute's going to be a little weird to get to here. Let me see. Let's see, we go over here, Union. But, I mean, look at the amount of stores, though. I think Marshalls is where it's at. If you're in this area, look at that. Off and on Marshalls, that alone is between 40, 50 stores, maybe. I mean, North Jersey, fire. That's some Jake. So yeah, that's a big time right there. Let me go out a little bit. If you want to check Philly, so we got to let's see. Please check Philly. Let's go in. Let's zoom in. Let's check it out. What's going on, Philly area? Even going to like Trenton. So you are driving out. Let's say if you wanted to go over here or down here for Wilmington. So Ross alone. You know what? Let's go one at a time. Let's see how that looks. Nike factory store. This is you're going out, but we got at least even this one's a little bit further out. But we got these two here if you wanted to check those out. Which kind of surprised. I thought maybe Philly would have a little bit more. Let's add Marshalls, which is insane. This is already at least 10 plus another 10, 12 here on this side. That's at least like 22 Marshalls somewhat in this area. Let's go to Ross. Let's take these out. Ross. Another probably 20 stores, more or less, probably a little bit more. And then we had Burlington. Oh my God. Burlington. Pretty much every store that you want to add. Even TJ Maxx. Surprised. TJ Maxx, Burlington, Ross, Marshalls, Nike Outlet. That's what you look like combined for Philly. Now the the Dallas. When you see Dallas, I think your head's gonna explode. Oh, don't worry, we'll check DC right now. But I just want to take you to Dallas. I want to do it one at a time because I think you're gonna be mind blown when you really, really see it. So Dallas Fort Worth alone. Let's add TJ Maxx first. Okay. Even then, more TJ Maxx than I have Ross in my area. Burlington. Now adding Ross, which Ross right now is already at like 30 stores alone. Marshalls, Nike Factory. This is, I mean, if you're in Dallas, Fort Worth, and even the drive to, because everything's bigger in Texas, you can hit those bigger freeways and everything and pay the tolls. Even then, you're going to get around pretty quickly to get to these stores. So Dallas, definitely worth it. And Houston also definitely worth it. So Houston, when we were doing Houston Out Hustled, we were able to just take the 8 and go all the way around. And even then you can hit certain areas and branch off of that. And then even going down here, League City. That's, I think most of them, let's see, Burlington, but Nike Outlet, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to drive up to this one, past Woodlands, that's 5. So there we go. Helene is gonna be so mad. District Deals, he already knows. And Root is also from there. So let me see. But keep in mind, if you wanted to do Washington, D.C., your commute and your traffic is gonna be tough. So let me I'm gonna do them one at a time. Your commute's gonna be tough because you're running into traffic, so that's different. I live in Houston and only source at the stores on the west side because I know there are so many stores. There we go. So Lucky on Three Legs has a different I guess the different mindset when it comes to it. He has too many stores to source. So here we go. Washington, Baltimore. Let's do it. Nike Factory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even then, you're going a little bit to Baltimore. This one's a little bit tougher. That's a little bit out there. Marshalls, Explosion, Ross, Explosion, Burlington, right? Even more, and then now TJ Maxx. So yeah, even if you wanted to take the trip to Baltimore, you could, but you probably have pretty much everything you want here. And really, when you start going to, traffic is bad in DC, stay away. For sure, traffic is going to be bad because we went there, we did the sourcing, and it was way tougher to get around in DC than it was in Houston, Dallas. Avoid at all costs. But if you really, really want to see them, West Coast is where it's at, and your traffic is also insane. So here we are going to LA. And even though they are so close, look at this, how close these Rosses are. This is going to take you a while to get to because of how bad traffic is. It's insane the way LA and all that is for the California fine. So, all right, let me go. Let's go to Florida where impacted the game is. All right, if you want to see Florida, well, it depends on where you are in Florida. So Jacksonville up here, we got Tampa over there, and we got Miami down here. So we can go one at a time. Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Fort Myers, you can also do that. And then Jacksonville, you're way up here. Gainesville, you're way up here too. So Orlando, though, Nike Factory Store. They always laugh at this one because there's 4 Nike factory stores right next to each other. And this you can hit easily. You have some up here. And then let me see. Miami, there's also some down here. We got these 4 if you wanted that. And then West Palm Beach there. I mean, that's the same thing that we've talked about. I mean, how many stores, everything you can do. We're adding Marshalls, we're adding Ross, we're adding Burlington, and then TJ Maxx. You have more stores, but you also have more competition, more likely in your area. Hustle B says you want to see El Paso, Texas. For those of you wondering where El Paso, Texas is, I always get that question too. Like, man, are you doing okay? Because Houston had the flooding. That one time I got so many emails asking if I was doing okay because of Houston flooding. And I am about 14 hours away from Houston. That is a long, long drive for me to make. But El Paso, here we are. Yes, you can go to Mexico. So Nike Factory Store, there's my 1. Marshalls, there's the 4. Oh, I think originally I said it had 3, but we have 4. Ross, we have more than this. Oh, because they built another one over here. I guess I didn't add it in yet. This is a little bit older on the map too. Burlington, there's the 2. TJ Maxx, we also built another one over here, actually over here. And yeah, that's pretty much it, at least in this area. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, any other requests, let me know and we can throw that in if you really want to see it in the map. But have them all marked, ready to go and see where all the stores are. That's funny. Right next to Juarez. Yeah, exactly. We're watching a lot of movies out there. So yeah, I'm gonna go back. Number 1, focus on your current inventory and sell old items. How to improve those older items. If you want to sell those items, you can make the money back, get some capital going, so you can reinvest down the road for other things. Maybe you also want to explore a new platform. You can, totally up to you. Number 2, search for local sales, Facebook groups, OfferUp, pawn shops, people that are selling high-end shoes for cheap. If you want to do that, new and used, no matter what, they're still going to sell well. Try to get the best deals possible, and you can add that instead of just relying on maybe Ross, things like that. Number 3, branch out, high ASP categories, purses, watches, backpacks, handbags, high-end clothing, things like that. Add that in to your store. Test it out. Test out the market if that's going to work for you or not. Number 4, try maybe new stores. TJ Maxx, Nordstrom Rack, Gabe's, DD's Discounts, some of the stores that maybe you haven't really walked into. Make that drive out there and maybe see if those are also going to work for you. And number 5, travel out to a different area, explore different cities. Maybe you have to make the drive. Maybe you can make the flight. Maybe you can't make either one. But if you're in Syracuse, you know, it is going to be a little bit tougher, and you're going to have to branch out somewhere else and see what's in your area. Hustle B says you can always move. You're not a tree. So yeah, you can branch out to a different city and explore the areas. Let me see. How many hours do most full-time sellers spend in a day sourcing? How many days a week? How many hours in a week total normally? That's from Kelly. So anybody in the chat wants to answer that question? For me, um, full-time seller spend in a day. I usually spend like 2 to 3 hours a day. And today I didn't. I actually only went to like one store today. That's because I was on my way to the gym. But usually Sundays I really don't even go either, unless like Nike Outlet, where I know I can use the pass. I know something is there I can go and get. But usually the weekends are pretty packed with families and everything. So usually things all over the floor, lines are long. But during the week, since I can do it full time, best time to source. It's not packed. It's for the most part, it's not dead, but for the, I have a bunch of different factors in the way, and also dealing with traffic like I would on the weekends. Um, let me see how many hours per week total. But you also have to keep in mind your shipping time, your uh, listing time, your packaging time. So those things also are a factor in not just be able to source. So unless you work as a team, let's say like Hustlebee and his wife, where like he can go out and source while his wife might be doing inventory or shipping or things like that. You have some flexibility there where you can do both at the same time and working as a team. Let me see. Watching to be talking about choosing one platform for Q4. What is yours this year? And are you doing more than one? That's a good question. I am going to focus more on eBay. I do sell on just different platforms to cross list, but I am more going to focus on eBay than to have a mixture of like FBA or Merch by Amazon and eBay. I really want to focus on that and go deeper more on the physical goods than Merch by Amazon, because what we talked about with Merch by Amazon last year, they couldn't print any more shirts. You can only do so much of things you can't control. So I was like, hey, well, at least with physical goods, I can build that up and sell on multiple platforms and cross list if needed. But really, eBay is going to be the main one. Let me see. Side Hustle Pros, what's up? 24 hours a day sourcing, posting, and thinking of new ways to improve. That's from Adam. And yeah, like it doesn't feel same thing as Hustlebee said. If you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work or part of life. And when me and Yang do the Merch Minds podcast, he's always on me because he used to sell a lot on eBay, and now he's frustrated with Merch by Amazon. And when I tell him like, I don't mind sitting here and like listing on eBay because I already have a process to where I can knock them out quickly. But sometimes it's also cool to just kind of like, stay at home, relax, list, listen to music. I'd rather be doing that than to have a full-time job that I hate and I can't do it and I don't want to do it. And even with shipping and stuff, like I don't mind that because it doesn't really have like I don't have to do a lot of research and thinking when it comes to comparing shipping out items compared to like Merch by Amazon, where I'm looking at, it's really data based, like ranking. Why are things selling? Why aren't they selling? Coming up with a good design, coming up with clever ads or maybe things that can get more sales in. It's a totally different thought process and workload doing that compared to the eBay side. I enjoy it. And me and Hustlebee also get to go and travel out and do that. So even when people have asked, like, what do you want to do down the road? I'm like, I'm already doing what I want to do, which is like meeting new people in different cities, traveling, seeing use different states, areas, and cities I've never even been to, and going out there and finding different things that I know I can resell and make money on. And I get to document it as well on the YouTube channel. So I like everything and all that combined, right now. And let's say, what is any tips for Q4? So for Q4 right now, I think inventory, regardless if it's slow or not, inventory needs to be number one priority. You don't want to sell things that you actually don't even have in your store. You thought you had 3, you really have 2. Now you got to cancel sales. You really, at least from summertime, when Ross, Marshalls, and all those were actually doing pretty good, is the best time to bulk up on inventory and have that ready to go. And now with MVP Pass and other things, it's like the perfect time to keep adding more inventory, especially when November, December come around. We're gonna get some more sales coming in, and we also have to replenish those sales and add more inventory if we want to grow. So I would probably say inventory, no matter what, is going to be your number one thing with Q4. But number two, I would say, is making sure you have plenty of supplies, boxes, tape, whatever else you use. You don't run out of that stuff, especially boxes when you're getting the free ones from USPS. If you run out and you need more, that's going to delay you for a while, especially if you have like, 5, 6, 7 pairs that need to go out and you ran out of boxes. You need to be ready to go at all times. So that's just a couple right off the bat. I do have a really good show though, on the Q4 tips that me and Hustlebee did. So if you want to do that and listen to that show, let me see. Is there any tips you can give us on your listing process for eBay without giving up any secrets? Yeah, there's no secrets to that. I would probably say that to get faster is like I would break it up into different things. Like if I want to take photos first, I might not even list them that day. I can list them the next day, but I'm going to do all photos all at one shot. And I know I can just do that. Cool. It's saved and I don't have to worry about that anymore. Now, the next day I can sit and just really focus on listing. Because if you go back and forth, number one, you might make more mistakes, but number two, you also might be wasting a lot of time because you're taking photos. All right, I'll do like, 5 or 10 items now, and then I'll list them, and then I'll go back and oh yeah, I also forgot I have to list these items. I'll go take those photos, and then I'll go back to listing. You're going back and forth. That's not really going to help. So take all the photos at once. You have all of them saved. Now you get to go do the listing part. And when I list them, if I'm going to do pre-owned first, then I will have, a template listing layout already that I know it's pre-owned. I can just add in the condition, done. Now for brand new with box, I have a separate little template. I can just, all right, cool, copy, paste, put that in there, and then done with that one. And then brand new without box, same thing. So they're almost like in different categories ready to go. So I'm not going back and forth because if you know this, if you sell used clothing, number one, your pictures are going to take longer because you're going to do measurements, or you're going to have to double check for stains on clothes or maybe holes on different clothes, and the condition is different from brand new items. You're going to take longer in photos anyway. Now when you have to list the condition, you're going to have to list like, well, it has a small hole on the bottom left of the shirt, and that's going to take you longer too. So knock them out by actual category, pre-owned or new with box, new without box. You'll hit it way quicker. Let me see. Can you make top 10 shoes to be on the lookout for? What prices are good for reselling videos? That's from iResell. Appreciate that. Girl on Fire. Let me see. Same process here as from Side Hustle Pro. So there we go. Take a photos. Then you have a library of photos you can be uploading anytime during the day. So yeah, exactly. You have that already set. You have the photos. And keep this in mind too. If you're taking photos with your phone, they're already in your phone. And let's say you have to do something like you're in a long line at somewhere, post office, or I don't know, fixing your car, or random things happen. At least you have your photos there. If you really wanted to list it and you already have, copy and pasting some templates and things like that, you can do it on mobile while you're waiting around and still do that. So there's some good things like that. Let me see. What kind of method do you use to organize your shoes? So I have them pre-packed. Not these that are behind me with box, because depending on the size of the box, I'm gonna have to do that and figure it out, and also on what platform it sells on. But if I'm selling them brand new without the box, I already have them pre-packaged in the USPS shoe box, and I have them stacked kind of like brick style. And when something sells, pull it out, label, and then that's it. We don't have to go back and forth to try to like clean shoes or find a box for it, or tape the box together. It's already done. It's already there, and we can just move along and do that. And even then, I didn't even do it before. I mean, Hustlebee is the one that he didn't even do it either. And even Carlos, we had like, I know they had racks at one point. I had them like in my closet, kind of like layered a certain way, but I didn't even have them prepackaged till I was like, you know what, really, really good point. in what Hustlebee was doing and also building that up. I was like, yeah, have them prepackaged, ready to go. I'm not wasting time, and I could just go and ship them out. Bob says so slow in Chicago, painful right now. So, man, there we go. And what else? Do people buy a lot of cleats around Christmas, and for what sports? Have you seen having a box matter more around the holidays since people give them as gifts? Yes and no. Brand new with or without box, that's a tough one because I've sold both in Q4. With box will definitely help you because it's complete, and you can also get more money for it because it is complete. So I would always want brand new with box more than without, but it doesn't mean that the ones without the box won't sell at any time throughout the year. And same thing with cleats. I think I sold a pair of cleats last week. So even football is still going. Soccer, think about it globally. Soccer is always going to be moving with people buying a lot of these high-end cleats, especially through GSP and international sales. You're always going to have that. So I wouldn't worry about a lot of the soccer cleats either. Let me see. Clothing has been better for me than shoes. So there we go. Football consistent here in New Jersey. Christine, good to see you too. A little late. That's fine. Rookie mistake I made this week. Sold a pair of Ross shoes on eBay. Couldn't get the price off the sole. Had to wet sand the Sharpie marker price off the sole for an hour before I could ship. So yeah, I mean, taking off price tag also, man, I hate when they use pin. It is a little bit tougher. I've also sold some shoes that have like a white bottom, let's say like an Ultra Boost or something like that. And if it's super, super tough to get out, I'll do everything I possibly can. If you can somewhat see it a little bit, I actually have like whiteout, and I'll go through it a little bit if the color matches somewhat right. And I actually did sell a pair, and it actually looked almost like didn't even look like it even had like didn't have the smell. It didn't even look like it was bad at all. But I had positive feedback on that one. It was like a very, very small marking. It wasn't even that huge, but I can understand if you can't get it out, it's going to be pretty tough. Out of curiosity, with Ross Fine's videos, when most the things end up being misses, is the main idea trying to show common things that aren't worth getting and the process. Ross Finds of the Week is a little mixture in between. It's it's kind of like a hybrid random show that I came up with because I wanted to show, number one, just the different shoes that are out there for the collectible and the collectors that want different shoes in the area, because some people are into Adidas or into EQTs or Ultra Boost or random Nike cleats and things like that. So I'll show in the area for your own collection. That's something you want to pick up. Number two, I'll also show thumbs up or thumbs down on the reselling part, because you never know what is actually going to be selling well until you do the research. And we have a lot of people too that just assume both. Just because it's Nike, it must sell well. Not necessarily true. Just because it's Nike, it must sell well. Not necessarily true. It's about doing the research and finding that out for reselling, thumbs up, yes or no. But also keep in mind, everybody's business model is different. So if it's a thumbs up for me, may not even be a thumbs up for you. Depends on what your model is, or maybe the opposite. And the last part is just showing a real find from the week that I bought and either sold or didn't sell, and why I picked it up, and doing the research. And after every 25 Ross finds of the week, I'll show you what the actual breakdown in numbers were on what I made from the past 25 finds, if they sold or if they didn't sell. So I'm just trying to show the realistic part possible, I think, in also finding different things in Ross and what they sell for. And I've said it 1,000 times, like, I'm not going to give you highlight reels that I've only finding nonstop great items. And that's not the realistic point of view of reselling. And I don't care what anybody else tells you or any other videos you watch. They're not going to do nonstop highlights to where they're just unbeatable. Or, hey, I just made, $10,000 from this one store haul if they haven't even sold the items yet. The research may prove that hey, realistically, could it sell for that amount? Sure, but you haven't sold it yet, so we can't really say. It's projected. It's not automatic money that come in. Let me see. Guaf, acetone, alcohol all failed. I tried so hard. Oh man, yeah, that was just like that must have been tough for that one to get that off. There's another one too. I'm gonna try it. I'll let you guys know if it works. But another type of like thing for the bottom of the shoes to get it off. I'll keep everybody updated on that one. See, search rank is just as important as the shoes, in my opinion, especially if the popular shoe has a lot of competition. Yeah, all comes down to the research. And if you don't know much about shoes, you can do the research. Even if you do know a lot about shoes, you still got to do the research and see what's going on for that particular shoe, maybe the colorway, maybe the competition, things like that, and when you're doing all your research. So let me see, 13 pairs of up-tempos, $30 each. Only bought 3 because the rest were damaged. I think someone else had a question about buying in bulk. I don't know where that one was. I think it was Mike, right? What about wholesale shoes, buying in bulk pallets of shoes? That's a good question. So, quick story. I don't know. I guess I have a lot of, I guess random stories always come up, but I had someone that has been doing wholesale in clothing for many, many years, and this person shared their wholesale supplier with me for shoes. Now, I talked to this wholesaler about trying to get pallets of shoes and what I could get, and the best price they could give me was about, I think, 30 to 35 per pair. And remember, when you're doing wholesale, you're buying everything. You're not just buying certain brands or certain shoes. Imagine if I was like, you know what? I only want retro Jordans. Then, I mean, that person must really, really have that wholesale connection. They could get just, retro Jordans, but how much are you going to be spending? Also, how much are they going to be getting it for to where they're still making quite a bit of money? So they had sent me photos. This is what I could expect if I order a pallet of 500 pairs or 1,000 pairs, and this is how much it would cost in total. I also need somewhere for them to deliver it. It's not just going to be like a big a big truck goes to my house and then unloads pallets of shoes to my garage. It's not going to work that way. I also have to have a storefront. Where are they going to do it? And somewhere where they could, not really a storefront, but let's say a back end where they could unload all of this and have plenty of room to do it. So if that was the case, I was taking a look at the photos and what they could do. And what I noticed was it was a mix. We had retro Jordans. We also had RBX. I kid you not, there's RBX in there. We had Reeboks, regular classics, and other random Reeboks in there. We had random Adidas, EQTs. There was some lower end tubulars. There was also there was Levi's in there. There was Levi's. There was also quite a bit of K-Swiss. There was actually more K-Swiss than I think a lot of the other pairs. But retros, it wasn't even like, it was more of like the newer ones that we had seen. Like if they come out, not necessarily even retros. I mean, kind of, but not really, like a 29, 30, 31s, not really, retro 12s and 11s that we're going to make bigger money on. And so they were so mixed that if I'm spending 30 to $35 per pair, how is that going to look in the long run though? Can I make money if I wanted to sell all of these? I can tell you right now, K-Swiss, RBX, the Levi's, even the lower end Reeboks, those are going to be way harder for me to move. So would I spend $30 to $35 per pair or $19.99 for high-end Vapors cleats from Marshalls that is already proven to sell? So that's really what it was when it came to the wholesale game. And I don't even know, I guess because of also having the knowledge in that, would I do it if if I don't know, like it would have to be really something that I knew that I could make money on. Obviously, they're going to make their money on depending on whatever they price it to me, but I'd have to be making money from it. There would be no point of buying 500 pairs at that price if it's not there. So, there we go. Anything else? Man, that was like that hour went by pretty quick. I feel like um I didn't take a lot of breaks or anything. It's just like nonstop talking, but we had quite a bit of good stuff on this show. And if you want to go back when we re-watch it, if you just joined us right now, we have the top 5 tips, and we go through the map a little bit to see parts of the U.S. and what they look like. But yeah, any other random questions before we go? Uh, pretty good show, and went by pretty quick. So there we go. Ken is a Levi guy, and he's the RBX guy. When you buy items for $19.99, if they go for $48 to $50 a pair each, what is the minimum threshold of where you'll leave them or take them, assuming they are good sizes? I guess buying, let's say for example, cleats at $19.99, going to 48 or 50, is it really worth your time and effort to do it? I mean, also keep in mind, if you're spending $20, is it worth it if they're a size 15 in football cleats, or if they're a size 16, or if they're a size 14? Probably not. Also look at the model. Is it a lower end model? Is it a higher end model? Then it's probably also not really worth it. So it's kind of tough to say, because I mean, selling for that amount also means that it's probably not a higher end model unless the price had went down. And if the price had went down because everyone drove it down, then you have to look at it. Is it a higher end model or not? And if it is, then we know that we can be patient with it because our risk is low at $19.99, and we can wait on that to go back up. And the perfect example were the purple mercurial vapors that we had talked about in the past. That people were letting them go for $45, $48, $50 max. And we waited, me and Hustleby waited like only a month and a half after that, and they were selling for $85, $90. But also depends on the size. So if you had a size 9, then you should be patient, because in soccer, that's going to be a way better size to hold on to, rather than dumping them for super cheap because you're unsure or it looks like it tanked. But keep in mind, the Vapor was also high retail. It wasn't like a lower end Veloce and other soccer cleats that were probably never really going to go up, because retail on them either way was like $70. So that's probably what I would be at standing at the $19.99 thing, because you just never really know until you hit that. You see the cleats, you hit it, and you do the research, and you can tell if it's going to move or not, or you should be patient with it and hold on for down the road for the right sale. Let me see. I haven't found Ross cleats almost about 2 weeks. So no, it's been off and on. Every store and area is different, as we clearly saw on the map. So never know, but Hustleby said same thing. Research always. That's going to be your number one tool. You have it on your fingertips to research whatever shoe you have in your hand on your phone. So do that and you'll be set. And always trial and error. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. You're only going to improve and get better and better and better at it. And then you'll have more inventory and build that up and make the better sale. So hopefully you liked this show. If you did, thumbs up. If possible, we had like almost 100 people. We had 27 thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up button. Helps me out. Leave me comments. Ask me whatever you want. Send me emails, hustlerhacks1@gmail.com. Keep in mind, we also have workshop coming up. We're going to go deeper into the eBay research and why you should be making certain decisions, and also looking at your current listings at the workshop in San Diego, November 17th. Me, Hustleby, will want to see you there. And we'll have all the details coming up soon on that one. Appreciate it, Ochoa. Jay Ochoa, appreciate that. District Deals, always. There we go. And Alexander, appreciate that too. Thanks for being here. And there we go. Anything else? How can you figure out some are higher end? Some have similar names. Untouchables, Untouchable Pro 2. Same thing is kind of like number one, the retail price, and number two, after you do the research, some of them don't have the retail price, but when you do the research, you can also see some of the other listings that maybe they'll have it complete with box. Look at the retail price to see what that is at. But when it gets to soccer, you're talking about like ACC and other things that will clearly give you the indicator. Also the bottoms, SG Pro, AG Pro, if they are a better higher end model, keep that in mind. And do you have a hard time grinding Ross Burlington after getting a bunch of box shoes at Nike or Marshalls? No, I enjoy all of them, and all of them have an equal opportunity to sell. So no matter what, I mean, I like those stores, whether it's El Paso, we don't have a lot of them, or if I travel out, either way, I know the opportunity is there and the money is there. So there we go. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys. Same thing. Ecom Chicago. Let me know if you're in Chicago, if you're interested. Email me, hustlerhacks1@gmail.com. Go out and get it.